Hi everyone. So just a reminder, I'm doing my internship at Fishkill Center for Rehabilitation and Nursing. It was known as a lot, but recently we were bought over. So this week, as you can see from my self-care, I had posted about last week about a lot of patients um, passing. And that's kind of the topic that I wanted to um, focus on today is death and dying and how to handle it, especially when it's not personal, it's professional, but it definitely feels personal. Um, so I did lose a couple of patients that were mine. One patient, I had worked with him and his wife. His wife was very sweet, was there all the time. And hearing of his passing was sad, and this was one of my fears when working in a nursing home is how am I going to handle patients dying. I guess I knew patients were going to die. I just didn't think so many at one time. Overall, we had 8 patients die in a matter of like 5 days, which is a lot. And they had explained that typically that happens around Christmas time, but really difficult. I found myself talking with my supervisor about ways to handle it. And, she said, when you hear about a patient passing, sorry, it's okay to be upset and it's okay to show emotion, but you don't want to be like hysterical crying in front of the family to say that like your feelings are more important than the family's. And I think it was difficult when having to write like their case notes. So used to writing their case notes about how they're doing or their updates or their intakes, and now I'm writing a case note about how they passed. But being able to call the family and give my condolences and have them say, oh, thank you so much for working, with my husband, and he was, you know, whatever, whatever positive comments they say. I think it makes it. I know it made me feel better as a social worker. I did have a patient that I am working with on a weekly basis. Her father was also in the same nursing home and he passed. And that was a little challenging because of the many difficulties that patient is having of herself and now trying to deal with her father dying. She is a bipolar patient, very disorganized, thinking, depressed. She has anxiety, and you go down the list. That was very difficult because trying to process her father's death with her became a big challenge because we would start talking about it and then she would change the subject. It was very difficult. And I was also trying to process my own feelings of, her father passing because I had built a little bit of a relationship with him. And then another patient that I was close with wasn't my direct patient, but I always had contact with her in the hallway. If she was upset, I would always just kind of go and give her a shoulder to cry on or, make her laugh or have her feel better. And her family was very, very present. So I not only built a relationship with the patient, but I built a relationship with um, the family. And when I learned of this patient's passing, I was really surprised and shocked. The patient was 96 years old, but seemed like she was in great health. There weren't any major problems that I was aware of. But the day before, she was having trouble breathing and having some difficulty. So when she passed, I think that was the hardest one for me. Just because her family, her granddaughters, everybody was there. They were hysterical crying. And in the beginning, I didn't want to go in and say anything because I wasn't sure how I was going to react, if I was going to cry or what I was going to say. But within a few hours, I, kind of thought about it and was talking it out with one of the other social workers and decided to go down to the family's room. And the patient hadn't been removed by the funeral home yet. So she was laying in the bed and the granddaughters were sitting on the bed, which is definitely different and a little difficult to comprehend. But I went in, gave my condolences to the family. They all gave me hugs, thanked us, um, for the wonderful support. That made me, I guess feel better about myself, and not that I was putting my emotions ahead of theirs, but just dealing with patients and dying is difficult. So I guess my question is, has anybody dealt with patients dying in the professional field, and how how did you deal with it? How did you find yourself handling the situation? How did you find yourself interacting with the family of the passing loved one? So I'm just curious to see how you guys handle it. Thanks.